Peking duck, kung pao chicken, mapo tofu, dumplings or jiaozi, and chow mein. These are my top 5 Chinese foods. But who are our top 5 wide receivers in the rookie class? Producer, hit that button. Welcome to another edition of the Fantasy Forecast with Grindberg and Bigz. I am Bigz, he is Grindberg, and Schultzy is hitting the buttons. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. It's 2 weeks away from the draft. We are ready to hit up some lineups, and we're here to talk about some wide receivers and some rookie wide receivers. Schultzy, what's going on with you, my man?
Well, I'm great. Last week, I don't really know what happened, but I found myself in a shallow hole, and luckily it wasn't that deep, so I was able to dig myself out, and I made it, and I'm back. And I realized I don't have any light on.
So glad.
Give me a second. All right, we're back. We got light.
And looks like Schultzy and I have fresh haircuts.
That's right.
How about you, Mike?
Yeah, you
growing it out for the winter?
Yeah, exactly. I actually snowed here a couple days ago on my way to work, and I was pretty depressed. Actually, I sent Chev a message because he always likes to send me messages when he has some bad weather, but this was like, what the hell? Finally had all our snow kind of melting, but no, it was a foot. And luckily, we got out. We got out of the dumpster of snow, and now we're here. We're ready to go, guys. And let's talk about some wide receivers. Let's go over our ranks. Let's go over our wide receiver rookie ranks, or top 5, because they've differed a little bit from the three of us here. So, Schultzy, let's bring up the board, and let's break this down here for everybody. Okay, so Bigz, let's go over your top 5 here. So you got Carnell Tate as your number 1, Makai Lemon, Jordyn Tyson, Denzel Boston, and Omar Cooper. That rounds up your top 5. Myself, I've got Makai Lemon as my number 1. Carnell Tate is my number 2, Jordyn Tyson as my number 3, KC Concepcion as my number 4, and Omar Cooper as my number 5. And then, Schultzy, you have Makai Lemon as your number 1, Carnell Tate as your number 2, Jordyn Tyson as your number 3, KC Concepcion as your number 4, and Denzel Boston as your number 5. So pretty similar all the way through. We have 6 guys in total here that between the three of us, a little bit of differentiating each other. So Bigz, let's bring up your board here first. You can talk a little bit about your guys and spotlight your guy here, Denzel Boston, your number 4, snuck into your top 5, snuck into Schultzy's, just outside mine as my number 6 guy. So talk a little bit about your top 5, why you have Carnell Tate at number 1, and maybe break down Denzel Boston a little bit more for our viewers and why he's so high up your board.
Okay, well, first of all, I want to start with a little caveat. Number 1, the three of us are like high-level Dynasty players, and when we're ranking these players, we are ranking them, and I think through the lens of Dynasty. I'm going to take Jordyn Tyson out of this and insert Jeremy Bernard. So Jordyn Tyson comes out of the top 5. Denzel Boston moves to 3. Omar Cooper Jr. to 4, and Jeremy Bernard goes to number 5. Now the reason I say that is because when I submitted my rankings to you, I was doing it coming off our expert projections in the rookie guide and guesting on a show where we were talking about rookie wide receivers for Dynasty purposes, and I totally spaced the Jordyn Tyson injury history and the fact that in redraft for 2026, we want guys who are going to be producing immediately and for most of the course of the season. Now, most of the time, it takes rookies half the season to kind of get going. If you watch this show, you've heard us say that a ton of times. Carnell Tate for me is number 1 because he is the most NFL-ready wide receiver in this group. He is polished as a route runner. He has great hands. He knows how to use his body to create space. He knows how to use his feet to create space. He knows how to stack defensive backs. Everything that you see on tape, this guy looks like he's an absolute can't miss. We're talking comps to Tedero McMillan coming out last year. We knew he was going to produce immediately. Guys that year over year, there's usually a receiver or two or three that we know are going to start week one and they're going to help their teams. Carnell Tate is the most polished wide receiver in this class. He is going to immediately start producing. Makai Lemon is a little bit more of a question mark, which is why I have him at number 2. Now, similar to Jackson Smith and Jigba, Makai Lemon gets this tag of, well, he's just a slot receiver. Well, that's what they said about Jackson Smith and Jigba too. And just because a wide receiver plays a specific role for his college team, I'm talking about Luther Burden, I'm talking about a handful of other guys, doesn't mean they can't do it. Jackson Smith and Jigba proved that he could line up on the outside, that he could line up in the slot. Makai Lemon has the absolute skill set to be able to do that. I'm going to go with Denzel Boston at number 3. Denzel Boston is a prototypical ex-wide receiver. This guy spent 4 years in Washington, and if we look through doing a little bit of helmet scouting, which we shouldn't do, but if we look at the 3 most productive wide receiver schools of the last few years, it has been LSU, Ohio State, and Washington. Now, Washington is kind of under the radar, but they did create Rome Odunze, Jalen McMillan, Jalen Polk was a draftee. You have another guy in this class that had transferred away from Washington. Denzel Boston grew up in that pipeline, and where we look for a sophomore breakout or a second-year breakout, he was unable to do that because he had 3 guys who were bound for the NFL draft ahead of him. So he's big-bodied. He has fluidity and power. He has body control when he's in the air. If you see a Michael Jordan type who goes up to the rim and all of a sudden they're contorting their bodies, they're able to move, twist, and move their bodies in the air. He has that. He has great hands. He's a really good contested catcher. He had something like a 70% contested catch rate. He knows how to stack defensive backs. That means that he gets into their bodies and then breaks off to make his route happen, and they're just kind of left clutching for air. He's going to have an impact immediately for whatever team is going to draft him. That's why I have him at number 4. Omar Cooper Jr. is another super polished guy that is plug and play at the NFL level. Whoever he starts for this year, he's going to contribute to. And Jeremy Bernard was the aforementioned person that was at Washington that transferred away, played at Alabama. In my eyes, that's a transfer up because he went from the Pac-12 to the SEC. That's a vertical transfer, and that's a really, really good sign for a player. You don't want to see him go to a lesser conference. So I'm adding Jeremy Bernard in there. He's another guy that can do everything on the field. So those are my top 5.
There you go. Love it. I love your breakdown on Denzel Boston. And he's a guy that, I like as well. Don't have him quite as high as you. So let's bring up my graphic here there, Schultzy, and I can break down kind of how I see this top 5 going. So very similar to you there, Bigz. I just have KC Concepcion instead of Denzel Boston for a number of different reasons. It's kind of like my prototypical likable type of wide receiver, and a guy that's similar state is Makai Lemon, and that's why he's not my number 1, my undisputed number 1 in this rookie class, because he profiles as that ultimate power slot weapon, proven volume dominance, elite per route efficiency that directly translates to immediate fantasy target shares. Carnell Tate, I know he offers that polished perimeter skill set, but Lemon's ability to command targets from the slot over 75% of his route usage, and then he can generate consistent first downs. Plus, that yak ability gives him a higher floor and weekly PPR upside for fantasy managers that crave that in dynasty, but also redraft formats, which I think he's going to come out of the gate right away in a good landing spot. I think his game screams plug and play contributor, similar to like a JSN or an Amon-Ra St. Brown. Yes, that power slot is great. He could play the outside as well, which he's shown as well. His fantasy appeal is just straightforward to me. Volume eating, chain moving slot stud whose efficiency metrics always mirror successful NFL power slot stars. 3.13 yards per route run in 2025. That's second among all qualifying wide receivers. He led the Power 4 in receiving yards, achieved a 91.4 PFF receiving grade. That's all I need to know here about my Makai Lemon. I think he's got all the traits to be one of those power slot guys that can really contribute in fantasy football. Not docking Carnell Tate. I think he's going to be a great guy in the NFL. His draft capital is going to support that. I think he's going to get top 10 draft capital. Carnell Tate, he's going to support a team's outside X receiver, but also shows great metrics. Bigz, like you mentioned, 3.02 yards per route run. I think Carnell Tate is great at that as well. So I think he's going to support really well at NFL level as well. Jordyn Tyson has got all the traits that I like to see in a wide receiver, elite usage, but that injury history is really showing some red flags for me. Anytime you talk about these soft tissue injuries in college, really brings up these red flags for me at the next level. And then Casey Concepcion, I think for him, he brings a lot of really good upside here for me. He's my wide receiver for that route running precision, that elite yak, that transfer, proven efficiency, giving him a higher floor at this stage. And he's a versatile weapon. I know those drops is something that he's going to really have to clean up. But, he showed that he's not just a gadget guy. We've seen that in NC State, but that power up move, I think showed that he can produce at a higher level right out of the gate. And then Omar Cooper, Bigz, you showed it. You talked about that. He's one of my flag plant guys at the wide receiver here. I think he has a lot of similar traits that Casey and Makai Lemon bring to the table, but maybe just not as explosive. So give me those three, and I'll take them in any order, whichever one has got the discount here. Schultzy, what do you got here, bud?
Yeah. As far as my top five, you ready for mine, or you want me to comment on yours?
Well, comment maybe, and then maybe enhance yours.
Yeah, I pretty much overall agree with everything here. I just have a different number 5 here, so we're in lockstep on the top 4. I do love Jordyn Tyson, and I'll talk about him a little bit more. But yeah, I love the KC Concepcion. At number 4, I think his game is going to translate very well to the modern NFL, and depending on landing spot, that one could get pretty fun. So I think we've got a lot of opportunity for him to do some rising. I think we could have some fun with KC Concepcion. But for me, Makai Lemon is also number 1, and I like the fact that the yards per route run, he leads the class. Like, that's an extremely good indicator over the last handful of seasons. If you lead the class in yards per route run, that's a great indicator to NFL success. Give me Makai Lemon there. He's over 3 yards per route run in both man and zone coverage. That's elite. Carnell Tate, Bigz hit it home there. Super NFL ready receiver. I hit on Casey Concepcion a little bit. Denzel Boston, I think he gets overlooked a little bit, and there's a lot of guys in this class I feel this way about it. This is just a good football player. Like, he may not blow you away in any one aspect, except for the contested catch stuff is very good here. But there's just a lot of, especially at wide receiver, there's just a lot of good football players. Like Omar Cooper's another one, right? Denzel Boston's there. He's going to be great. Like, you're good at football. You're going to make your way on the field. You're going to have success. You're going to score fantasy points. But for Jordyn Tyson, for me, we kind of go in the season, everyone's talking about this guy as the wide receiver 1 of the class. And then as we work our way down the season, the injury stuff creeps in and really starts to scare people. And I get it. I'm not going to knock people for that. I can't, if it weren't for the injury, I mean, if we had minor injury stuff, I would have him at number 2, probably maybe even number 1 still. But the fact that it's gotten to where it's at, as he's my number 3. I can't push him any further than that, though, with the talent we're looking at. I mean, the route running here is off the charts. He flows so naturally. It's the athleticism is just so natural. And in the short and intermediate area of the field and his routes, he can just separate so well for himself. As a junior, when the separation may not be there, as a junior, he posted a 67% contested catch rate. Career 2.71 yards per out run. We typically look at the two yards per out run threshold as but that's where we want to see a receiver when we're looking for the NFL success. So that he really clears that. I mean, you don't have to say much about the talent here. Like, go turn on the tape. It's very clear watching this guy. Like, he's different. However, the injuries creep in. I mean, and then we've got this hamstring strain that's been creeping forever. He can't do the combine. Now he can't do the pro day. Like, it is a little concerning. Now you've got reports about his toughness and his character or whatever. And to me, a lot of that stuff's really hard to take in draft season because it feels like prospect fatigue. We're just trying to make stuff up about guys. And you in the past, you've seen reports like that on guys that it doesn't matter, but you've also seen reports on guys like that where it does matter. So who's to say, right? The thing for me with him is all it takes is one coach to get this guy straight. One professional athletic trainer, like who the athletic trainers at Arizona State might suck. Who's like, I don't know. But like all it could take is to get some professional hands on this guy, and the results are going to be off the chart. So for that reason, I cannot move him past my wide receiver 3. And if the opportunity is there, it's going to be it'll still be a decision between Tate and Tyson for me on the clock.
Well, let me throw in some perspective, maybe some framing. The first caveat is that we're talking about this before the NFL draft. And one of the most important things with wide receivers in fantasy football is their draft capital. The likelihood of a wide receiver hitting in fantasy football throughout their career that is drafted outside of the top 50 in their rookie draft, as far as the entire NFL, is much, much lower than guys that go in that top 50. So right now we're dealing with 7 wide receivers. One of them we're not going to talk about, but 7 wide receivers that are slated to go in the top 50. Carnell Tate, Makai Lemon, Casey Concepcion, Jordyn Tyson, Denzel Boston, Omar Cooper Jr. We've talked about all of them. Jeremy Bernard is at 58, just kind of outside that. That's kind of why I pushed him in. The thing about Jordyn Tyson is with the injury, and you talk about prospect fatigue, I think it's more the process of going through the prospecting, and we've talked about this on the show before, where you approach it scientifically, where you come up with a hypothesis. The hypothesis is Jordyn Tyson is the wide receiver 1 of this class, and then you throw everything that you can at it to try and prove that that's not true. And when you start to talk about the injuries, that starts to pull him down. Is Jordyn Tyson the most talented wide receiver in this class? I think so. Does he have the highest potential performance ceiling of this class? I think so. That's why he only gets a slight bump down in Dynasty for me. He gets a bigger bump down in redraft because there's no telling how quickly he's going to be able to get on the field, how quickly he's going to find that one guru that Schultzy you're talking about. So there's that. Let me throw some comps at you. We have Makai Lemon with a Doug Baldwin comp. We have Casey Concepcion with a Brandon Ayuk comp. We have Jordyn Tyson with a Christian Watson comp, which I absolutely don't agree with. Denzel Boston with a
That's
Cortland
weird.
Sutton comp. Omar Cooper Jr. with Josh Downs with a power-up mushroom. And Jeremy Bernard with Mega Parker Washington. So I love all those. Now, the one thing that you'll notice from all of those comps is that all of those guys have performed in fantasy at one point or another. So I think this class is very safe. I don't think there's any runaway Malik Neighbors in this class. I think it's a lot of Jalen McMillans. I think it's a lot of guys that can contribute immediately, which McMillan, when he got the opportunity to do so at the end of his rookie season, he absolutely did. I think we have there's no real runaway guy. Talent-wise, Jordyn Tyson could have been. But I think this is a very, very safe wide receiver class. So if you want to spend up in your redraft drafts for a rookie wide receiver that you think is going to bring some value, take them around early, what have you. I think the top 7 or 8 that we've talked about, I think they're all very safe for fantasy production for this year.
That's what I'm saying, man. It's just a bunch of good football players.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, this class is, if there's any sort of strength in this wide in this 2026 NFL draft, it's this wide receiver class, and we're talking about these guys interchangeable in the top 6 or 7. So I love it. Little recap here.
Wait, real quick. There was one more point that I wanted to make. One of the things that we talk about is yards per route run, and 2 yards per route run is the absolute bottom threshold that you want to see when you're investing in a wide receiver. Carnell Tate had 3.02 yards per route run. 3 is so elite you don't ever really see it. Makai Lemon, 3.09 yards per route run. Denzel Boston, 2.4. That's fairly up there. In 2025 or in 2024, Jeremy Bernard had 2.24. Casey Concepcion, 2.46. And those are all elite numbers. So as long as it's over 2.0, we're good. 2.5 is like some of your more elite receivers that we see. Those guys who are over 3, that gets into like crazy territory.
Now, folks, if you want to see where all of these wide receivers land and what their yards per route run in this rookie class, be sure to check out the FSA and Rookie Prospect Guide. And I know our main man Bigz here has got a little bit more to say about it. Schultzy, why don't you run that clip?
We've all been there, watching a can't-miss rookie bust while your rival scoops up the next superstar on waivers. The 2026 class is deep, talented, and full of landmines. Do you know who's actually worth the 101? Stop guessing, start scouting. The Fantasy Sports Advice Network 2026 Rookie Prospect Guide is your blueprint for a dynasty. The experts from the Fantasy Forecast, the Devi Dojo, the Dynasty Pulse have logged the hours so you don't have to. From advanced analytical models to raw film grading, we give you the data that translates to Sunday points. Don't just participate in your draft, dominate it. Download the 2026 guide at fsan.com today. Your championship starts here.
Love it. Let's do that. Let's go to the fsan.com and get your copy today. The updated version will come out, shortly after the draft, a couple days, so that you get everything you need for your rookie drafts. And let's bring on our spotlight, Schultzy. Let's get into the guys, the sleeper guys that you're going to see in the later rounds of these drafts. So guys that we didn't talk about in our top 5, our top 6, our top 7, potentially could land in our top 10, but let's get this show on the road here. And Bigz, let's start with your first spotlight guy, and that's a guy that you want to probably draft a little bit later on in your drafts, and talk about your boy. Schultzy, run the video.
All right, so I'm going to talk about Bryce Lance, and one of the reasons that I have him here is because I went to the show sheet, and I had expected that you, Grindberg, were going to have him as yours, and you didn't, so I took him. Now, here's the thing. For anybody out there who's who hasn't been nose to the grindstone with the rookie class since the last day of the season in 2025. This crew right here, we have been picking apart, analyzing, focusing on all of these rookies coming out because that's our job. That's what we do. The thing is that my rankings and my expectations for this draft and this draft class were different, much different on February 1st. And they were different on February 7th. And they changed again for February 14th and February 21st and March and into April, etc. My rankings have fluctuated so much. There have been guys who have jumped way up, like Bryce Lance. There have been guys that have fallen way out, like other guys that we're not talking about here. But let me talk to you a little bit about Bryce Lance. Now, those of you who have been loyalists to the show know my absolute love for Lan Larison. And last week, I dubbed Bryce Lance the winner of the 2026 Lan Larison Memorial FCS player that I love. Bryce Lance is Trey Lance's brother. He went to North Dakota State. North Dakota State is formerly an FCS school. They're going to be entering Division I, the FBS, I believe, as early as this year. The thing that makes Bryce Lance and Lan Larison, the kind of thing that binds them, is when they were playing against lesser competition in the FCS. That's definitely true. But they made it look like you were playing a video game on easy and using them as your stars. And we're talking about Bryce Lance, 66, 67% contested catch rate. He outjumps everybody. He is faster than everybody. He's a big-bodied wide receiver. He had an insane yards per catch for the last 2 years of his career at North Dakota State. He does everything, and he came to the combine and blew people away. Now, the problem that's going to come with Bryce Lance is that being from an FCS school, there's a possibility that he's going to be left outside of that top 50 that we want to look at. But athletically and skill set wise, there is nothing not to love about this kid. The typical rookie analysis, oh, he's a little bit old, oh, he played against lesser competition, whatever. When you go out and imagine watching Derrick Henry film from when he was in high school. You knew immediately that he was the best player on the field. He made it look like he was playing a different game than the 21 other players that were on that field. Bryce Lance is that kind of player. When he's on the field, when you watch that film, when you watch him play in a game, he won an FCS national championship. When you watch him play, he looks like he's playing a whole different game than the 21 other players on that field. And to me, that is an NFL game while the other guys are still playing D3 ball, right? So Bryce Lance, keep an eye on him. He's going to be going late in your redrafts because he's not going to get the draft capital to be one of those top 10 wide receivers to be talked about. Although in Dynasty, that's a little bit different. He's in my top 10 already. But keep your eye out for Bryce Lance. Somebody's going to get him, and somebody's going to watch him through rookie camp and training camp and the preseason and go, oh my gosh, we need to get this guy the ball every single down.
Love that call, Bigz. You know me, and you know I love my North Dakota boys, and Bryce Lance is at the top of that list for me, and great call on him. I've been scouting him and been really high on him for a little bit now, so yeah, you bringing him to light here and using him as one of your flag plants makes me happy deep down. So thanks for that, Bigz. You made us smile.
That's what I'm talking about, how information changes over time. So he wasn't even on the radar in February. And then he goes to the Senior Bowl and everybody goes, whoa, this guy, he's got talent. And then he goes to the Combine and they go, oh, wow, he brings the athleticism too. And look at how big he is. And then you start digging a little bit deeper and you start uncovering numbers like we were talking about. 2.0 is your yards per route run threshold, and 3 is absolutely elite. And he was at 3.58 yards per route run. That's insanity.
Mm-hmm. Love it. Yeah, man. He's a gem. Now, Schultzy, let's get into my guy who, has quietly, shot up my board. He's now my wide receiver 7. So a guy that's not so much under the radar like a Bryce Lance. He's, has some notoriety because he is, a national champion. So a little get into some deep dive here. Schultzy, let's run the video. So for a while here, I've been kind of flip-flopping through my two guys here from, the national championship Hoosiers. Now, Elijah Sarratt is my pre-draft flag plant sleeper, not so much my flag plant guy, because Omar Cooper is a guy that I'm really high on. He has been a guy that he's, steamed up my board, but I also really like Elijah Sarratt, and I like the efficiency per route production, elite red zone scoring, and that route running polish that screams future fantasy contributor with the right draft capital. While, not in my top 5 like these other flashier profiles, Sarratt's savvy, route technician, excellent releases, footwork, and the ability to plant the flag sharply on breaks without tipping his hand gives him a high floor projection for me as a power slot or possession X who can move the chains consistently in fantasy. That always open roll is reliable first down conversion. So he's going to be a guy that I'm going to be targeting later on. What makes him my flag plant is his proven efficiency, clutch touchdown production, even while sharing targets with Omar Cooper. Late round rookie drafters or best ball players could land a steal that delivers weekly PPR floors through, chain moving routes and red zone visits. Could be a day 2 capital, in the right situation, because we talk about yards per route run above 2. Well, his 2.57 is great for that. His first down per route run is 68 percentile. Another great reason that quarterbacks will target this guy. He isn't loud, but 15 touchdowns last year proves that he's a red zone threat. So a guy that can, separate, proven by his first down per route run and his yards per route run, but also can score touchdowns, being power slot as well. I think he's got versatility here. He isn't loud yet, but I think he's screaming value here and is going to score fantasy points in the right lineup with draft capital and good landing spot. So give me some Elijah Sarratt, under the radar guy, but could easily steam up here in the right spot. So keep your eye out here, folks, for some Sarratt.
One of the things that I like about Sarratt, and we talked about this, or I talked about this a little bit earlier, is transferring, or maybe I didn't talk about it on this show, but we've talked about guys transferring from conference to conference when they enter the transfer portal, and guys going in lateral direction or transferring down a conference, like if you go from the SEC to the Pac or to the ACC or what have you. Elijah Sarratt transferred from a D2-ish school, St. Francis, so it's not even, I think that might have been FCS, so it's not even listed, and then transferred up to James Madison, and then transferred up to the Big Ten, and then won a national championship. So that vertical action is one of the things that makes me higher on him. Right now, his proposed draft slot is a little bit outside of what I want to see, but I see the 4 or 5 guys ahead of him, he's better. And so maybe that all changes on draft day. So you'll just have to watch our content after draft day to see how landing spots affect these rankings. But I love me some Elijah Sarratt.
And be sure to check out all our live draft coverage. When the draft happens in 2 weeks, we're going to have live shows happening on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So be sure to check out everything happening here on FSAN for your live draft coverage and scoops. So, without further ado, Schultzy, run your video and talk about your spotlight.
Sweet. It's my turn. All right, Jacoby Lane time. So I don't remember if I talked about him on this program before or on the Pulse a little bit. And I know on the Pulse, Chev loves this guy as well. But I'm a huge fan of Jacoby Lane, and I think He's got all the skills that are going to translate. We're a 6'4" receiver, 200 pounds. So I think we've got a little room to maybe add some muscle to this frame and get even stronger here. But dude, 9.38 RAS, 4.47 40. And now you might look at the number, might not instantly be blown away, but like 4.3 speed just doesn't translate to the NFL. And it's not something that is like applicable. Like it just, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like 4.47 is plenty functional speed for the NFL. I'm not worried about that out of lane. A 40-inch vert, 10-foot, 9-inch broad jump. So he showed up to the combine and the athleticism tested well. He was really impressive at the Senior Bowl. He's going to be 22 when the season starts. So, I mean, we love that early breakout. I think this guy's just a really smart football player with good football IQ. And I remember saying, kind of reminds me a little bit of Devontae Adams, how Bigz has talked a lot about him, where he's not going to win straight up with athleticism, but it's just a knowledge of the game and that IQ that he sets you up and he's going to burn you. And I think Jacoby Lane carries a little bit of that. He does a lot of his damage vertically, but that's kind of what he was asked a lot to do. So I don't think he's limited 100% to that. Like if you watch the film, you're going to see some success out of him in other ways. And he can win against press sometimes in short intermediate areas. He's not always just getting the targets. His yards per route run threshold is just underneath the 2 mark, which we've talked about that so far. But the thing here for me is I think there's a little bit of the Brian Thomas effect that he was playing with Makai Lemon. Like we saw all the dudes that Brian Thomas was on the field with over at LSU. And when you play with that much other talent, like you're going to lose out to some of that. Like that's inevitable. And that's going to bring your yards per route run down. Also, while playing with Makai Lemon as a junior, this guy posted 2.42 yards per route run. So like we've seen the spike from Jacoby Lane with other elite talent playing next to him. Highlight catches off the charts from this guy. The one-handed stuff in the red zone, great body control. He's a tough player. And the Notre Dame tape really proves that. That's a tough defense. They've played a really good defense over the last few seasons. They were running a lot of press on Jacoby Lane. And I don't care who you are, if someone's going to press you that much, you're going to struggle. But he kept chipping away at it. Like he's tough, man. He kept going. He kept doing it. He kept trying, and he broke it open, man. He got pressed and broke one free and got the guys deep and caught like a 56-yard touchdown or something. I love that they followed it up, went right back to him in the red zone for the 2-point play, and he just juked a dude on a route and was wide open. So like he can separate in the red zone. He's got the size and the contested catch to get you in the red zone. I just think his skills are really going to translate to the NFL level. I see some like Allen Robinson out of his game. Huge fan of Jacoby Lane.
Yeah, I like him too. Showed up at the combine. Like you mentioned here too, there are some concerns about his slight frame, a little bit against press coverage, but he's a little bit more jockey than people would give him credit for. So you mentioned that too. He's known to get out of that press coverage a little bit too. So he's a little bit more feisty than people give him credit for, and that lengthy tallness. He can get into the end zone. Proven. With his touchdown upside in 2024, scoring 12 of them. So he can be proven to be a red zone threat. So Bigz, what's your thoughts here?
Well, we all are in lockstep with Jacoby Lane. We all really like him. I think I talked about him last week on the Pulse. Chev has talked about him on the Pulse. I just hope that it doesn't turn into a situation like last year with our 2 Iowa State boys, that Jacoby Lane and Jordyn and Makai Lemon get drafted to the same team.
That would be sad.
That would
exactly
just ruin everything.
Absolutely. All right, Bigz. Got a lot going on the network right now. Draft season happening, the NFL draft coming up. Tell everybody what to do, what we're doing on the network.
All right. Well, if you're new here and you like the show, like, subscribe, hit the bell. If you've been around, like and hit the bell. Get notified every time FSAN posts a show, like the Devi Dojo, the Dynasty Pulse, the Fantasy Forecast here, from the forum on Friday nights. You got to watch it all. If you're into Dynasty, go ahead and put your name in the comments, and we'll start to put together Dynasty leagues this summer that you can play in. If you've never played before, we'll have a novice league for you. If you want to come at the experts, we'll have an experts league for you. All that stuff. Go to fantasysportsadvice.com. Go get the rookie draft prospect guide. Even if you're just in redraft, it'll still help you when you go into your redraft drafts, because you'll know once we have the draft capital and the team assignments and everything where guys stand and what their value will be in your redraft drafts. Yeah, cop the merch, all that call to action stuff. And other than that, we hope you win.
Yeah, shout out to all our viewers that are in the chat every time, every show. And Meatball, yes, you are going to be in our expert league, in our Dynasty league. Don't you worry, man. I will make sure you are in there. You're the first invite to come out. And shout out to Jamie, who's always here shouting out our stuff. Peace out, everybody. We'll see you next week. Later.
We've all been there, watching a can't-miss rookie bust while your rival scoops up the next superstar on waivers. The 2026 class is deep, talented, and full of landmines. Do you know who's actually worth the 101? Stop guessing, start scouting. The Fantasy Sports Advice Network 2026 Rookie Prospect Guide is your blueprint for a dynasty. The experts from the Fantasy Forecast, the Devi Dojo, the Dynasty Pulse have logged the hours so you don't have to. From advanced analytical models to raw film grading, we give you the data that translates to Sunday points. Don't just participate in your draft, dominate it. Download the 2026 guide at fsan.com today. Your championship starts here.